For the first time ever, I am experiencing what artists like to call brain rot. And specifically, for the first time in my entire artist career, I am experiencing OC brain rot. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh. Never in my life, probably, have I made so much original art that hasn't been studies or fan art. Basically, 100% of what I've been drawing lately has just been my goofy goobers, and I don't know how to feel about it, but that's kind of what's taken hold of my brain. Yippee! As an artist, I love consuming other artists' content online, and specifically lately, I felt like a lot of artists I follow have been going really in-depth about their characters, their worlds, their OC's backstories, personalities, just overall explaining the lore and story of their characters, and every time I'd see videos like this, I would just think, wow, that's so awesome. I wish I had characters like that. And then, I don't know what happened, guys, but now I'm starting to fall down into that rabbit hole. I had this strong urge and itch to create my own characters, stories, character dynamics, worlds, universes. I had the just gripping urge to do so. And the funny thing is, I did already have OCs, but for the most part, they were essentially untouched. And for years, mini story time. Back in my sophomore year of high school, I was on a call with a friend, and I told her that, man, wouldn't it be fun if we just made some characters together? Wouldn't that be so quirky, funny, creative, haha? So, I kid you not, for the next 2 hours on that phone call with my friend, we created 2 characters in a rough setting. The first character being a young girl named Marin, who would be in her early 20s, who would work at a library at a kingdom. The second character was a prince character who would be the said prince of the kingdom. Naturally, she was going to be the soft, pretty ooh girl, and the prince was mysterious, misunderstood, had all this pressure placed on him, and naturally, we wanted the two of them to fall in love. That was the entire scope of the original premise. Pretty unoriginal, pretty tropey, if I do say, pretty basic, pretty bland. These 2 characters became Marin and Column. But outside of that phone call I had with that friend, I wanted to further these characters and this world. And for a time, I briefly did. Outside of those 2 characters, I created 2 more characters that would exist in that world. The character I created next was Mai. Mai was going to be Marin's younger sister. She was roughly around 17 years old, and she was supposed to directly parallel Marin's personality, being almost opposites in every way. But they loved each other so dearly, and they were meant to have this really sweet sisterly love. The next character I made was Bennett, who was a knight in training at the kingdom, who would become kind of a member of this found family of characters, being a kind of younger brother figure to Column, the prince. Bennett had crippling insecurity, which he would cope with by putting on the mask of being overconfident, a show-off, and needing to prove himself as being more than capable, which naturally was all just to mask his insecurity of not being worthy of being there. It was my little personal headcanon that Bennett was super good at using bow and arrow, but chose to use a sword instead because he thought it looked cooler. That whole interaction, I guess, that whole character trait describes his personality and his eventual character arc. But with all that said, those were the 4 characters I already had established in this universe, and essentially for the next 2 years to come, those 4 characters were basically left unchanged, untouched, and barely thought about. I would talk about them here and there because I would occasionally doodle them, but I never really thought about them seriously or took their whole universe seriously either. It was just kind of something I had cooking just to say, basically, that I had original characters, but I did hardly anything with them. But then, after I finished my last sketchbook and I started a new one, I had the personal goal of wanting to expand upon my own personal character design skills and my own creativity, being able to push what I could create. For the longest time, I've always said that I'm not a writer, I'm just an artist, and I like drawing. I couldn't create my own stories, I'm not that type of person. Basically, I'm trying to prove myself wrong. I'm trying to show myself that I can create my own characters, my own stories, my own universes. And I should be creative in creating something true and original to me. When creating my new sketchbook, I really wanted to revisit and redesign my existing characters. And in the process, kind of accidentally making more, but we'll get into them later. But in this video, I will be going over two of the characters that I have already established, Marin and Mai. The two sisters, if I will, who I love dearly and I really wanted to revisit. So to start off the sketchbook, I basically started doing doodles and redesigning my characters, particularly Mai, who I redesigned, and oh my gosh guys, I love them. This new sketchbook got me cooking, bro. Again, I've never experienced this amount of love and brain rot over characters that I've made before, and that's crazy. Let me give you some brief new lore for this new universe that I am creating. My OC universe is basically the combination of two of my favorite tropes ever, those being sci-fi and fantasy. I decided that if I were to ever create any kind of story, that's the kind of world and universe I would want it to take place in. And some context. This universe is centered around a planet, and that planet has 2 moons on it. The moons are pretty large to the point where those moons themselves can be inhabited and lived on by people. And a large amount of society does live on both of the moons. The planet is mostly nature and untouched, with a surface city with some floating sky islands, mainly consisting of the main kingdom. Whereas the 2 moons are very much so a lot more technologically advanced than the main planet, because the people who lived on the moons used the center core power of their moons as an energy source to use to crazy advanced technology, only to get too ahead of themselves and overfarm their moon's natural resources. This naturally made the people on the moon, or the people in charge who live on the moons, to want to exploit and use the natural resources on the planet. Only thing is though, the leader who lives on the planet, aka the ruler of the kingdom, is very stubborn and controlling as to what happens on the planet, leading to the planet becoming a lot more behind the times of technology than the 2 moons are. This is sci-fi, so there is space travel and technology, but technology in this universe hasn't crazily progressed yet. There is space travel, but the extent of it is traveling between the planet and the moons. It's not like you're going across galaxies or universes, it's pretty small and untapped yet. The scope of the magic and power system I still have yet to figure out. It's still very much so a work in progress. You know, don't ask too much for the details, but that's essentially what I'm thinking. Marin as a character is pretty similar to her original counterpart. She is in her early 20s, probably 23, 24, and she does work at the library at the resident kingdom of Indigo. She's not the official castle librarian yet, but she is in training to become the next librarian to be in charge of all of the castle's inside information and original texts and information revolving around the planet's materials. Basically, she is the keeper of all the found knowledge. And she very much so fits the stereotype of being very much so book smart. Street smart, not so much. But it's okay. She has her sister to balance her out. Marin is very kind, bubbly, has a warm personality, and she kind of gives the energy of being the mom friend of the group. She often wears flowy, long, feminine outfits, and she's canonically a pretty girl. Like, canonically, that's part of her character, is that she is such a beautiful woman, yet she does not know that about herself, and she's so ignorant to it. Like, people will give her pretty privilege and she'd be like, wow, these people are so nice to me. And then May is like, oh my gosh, they're literally just flirting with you. And that's just a little funny detail about her character. And then talking about May probably had the largest design-wise change out of the two of them. But personality-wise, she's also pretty true to who she was. May used to be very, like, chill, even personality, never showed much emotion, usually had a blank look on her face. Now May is a little bit feisty. She can be a little bit, like, hot-headed, quick to jump to conclusions, and she's very firm and fierce. She's very protective over her older sister, which is one of my favorite tropes actually, is when the younger sibling is super protective of the older sibling and feels the need to take care of them, even though traditionally it's the other way around. May is super capable and she always feels like she needs to take care of Marin, especially because Marin is the more aloof and socially unaware out of the two. And yeah, May, I am unsure of what her goals are. I'm assuming that her role in the kingdom would have to do with the plot and the story, which I don't necessarily have 100% planned out yet. But I think a big part of it is that she wants to help bring peace and prosperity to the planet and the two moons so that the three of them are working for each other and not against each other. That is something that May is super passionate about and can relate to with another OC that I have that I will talk about later. But yeah, I still have a lot to figure out about the characters, the world, and the overall arching story. But the two of them, I had a hard time finding different palettes. I want them to obviously look related and like they're definitely sisters, but I don't want them to look too visually similar to the point where they don't have their own identities. So May, I really want to workshop her different outfit clothing colors specifically. May and Marin already have like blue eyes, purple hair. Marin wears pink. I want to find another character that May could wear, but I'm just trying to like look at all the characters in the group and I really want to give them all each their own identifying color that they wear, and I'm just still trying to figure that out for May. I think pink looks visually really good on her, as it does with Marin, but I just don't want to have that visual overlap, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the only thing that's probably canon right now to May is definitely her hairstyle, hair color, and eye color, and the fact that she has like a little mole under her lip. But other than that, her outfit and clothing colors are still very much so up in the air as to what I want to do with them and what direction I'll take. I am pretty pleased with the style I went with for her clothing. I specifically really like her skirt and her top, but like her little overshirt thing and the colors, I definitely plan on playing around with a lot more. So those were the two characters I created for this universe, Marin and May. I will have part 2 and probably a part 3 to this video, as my universe has 6 main characters currently, which is quite a lot, but you know, I will tackle them all individually, and hopefully I'll get to a place where I really like all of them, you know? Thanks for watching this complete info dump of a video, and as I mentioned, I have 4 more characters in this universe that I'm wanting to revisit, redesign, rewrite, so await those videos. I'm also in the process of completing OC-tober, and I am actually having a lot of fun with it, so yeah. I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. So until then, bye-bye, and see you later!